I need to sign a new goalkeeper out of these three options. Which one did you choose? Mainly because Hugo Lloris is quite old now, and he is making some terrible mistakes. Thankfully, it didn't cost us last season as we ended our first Premier League campaign in 4th position. It was also a 121st minute goal from the Champions League final and eliminated from the other cups by teams that were just simply better than us. And the board and supporter feedback is not too bad. A B from the board and a B- from the fans. I suspect we need to win over those hardcore fans. There was a few shockers in Season 1 though, like Newcastle finishing in 17th place, Arsenal down to 11th, and Chelsea in 8th place. And that led to 8 other teams changing their manager through the season. And it was a bad season for Eddie Howe too, as he was sacked from Newcastle, took over at Bournemouth, and was still relegated with them. Unlucky. Right back to business, I've decided to go with my first instinct and try to sign Ramiro from Sociedad. And surprisingly, negotiations were a lot easier than I expected. Newcastle seemed to be the other party interested in Ramiro, and he's happy enough to be a backup, which is a little crazy, but I will accept it anyway and negotiate a good deal for both sides. So here is my dynamic manager timeline. Is anybody actually excited for this new feature, by the way? We also get an update of the supporter profile changes, which is good. We were told this feature would be dynamic, and we can see that family percentage has increased and a decrease in fair weather fans, which is actually a good thing as they are the impatient fans looking for success. Surprised there's any of them left at Tottenham. In the Champions League final, Liverpool met La Liga winners Barcelona, and Luis Diaz gave them the lead. Ansu Fati equalised just minutes later, but Liverpool in the second half won the trophy with a fantastic goal from Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've had a bid come in for Hugo Lloris, and I'm going to reject it as it's not a lot of money and I'd rather not disrupt the team by selling a locker room leader. We have, however, agreed a deal to sell Ben Davies to AC Milan for 17 million. We also got a £32 million bid for Oliver Skipp from West Ham, but he's worth way more than that. Now, Kulusevski, he's on loan and his in-loan contract there is a £30 million price for reaching the group stage of the Champions League, which we have done. But for some reason, we can't make the offer, and I don't know whether it's a bug or not. Even as the loan ended, when I offered £30 million to Juve, they now want over double the amount. So maybe it means that Juve have to reach the Champions League group stage, because they actually finished in 7th place. So now we are going to be really light on that right wing spot. And I may have to invest my £30 million on that instead of other areas of the field. Although the prospect of Marcus Edwards returning could be very tasty, I'd say it's between him and Pepe at the minute. But I ended up going for Marcus Edwards because for the price of £25 million and a lot less wages than what Pepe wanted, I can't turn that down. Plus his attributes are very good and he was trained at the club, so he counts as a homegrown player. We also moved on Joe Rondon and brought £10 million into the kitty. Ndombele has also agreed to join Monaco, who will have to pay us 19 million if they also qualify for the Champions League. But then again, who knows whether that will work, like the Kulusevski point. And Davinson Sanchez joins Nice for £6 million. Which means with Tanganga also on his way out the door, there's space for another centre-back. So let me introduce you to Edson Alvarez, signed for £31 million from Ajax. He is a natural ball-playing centre-back or an incredible ball-winning midfielder, 2 positions we use in our new tactic. First game of the season, and we are hosting champions Liverpool. European champions Liverpool too, and our starting lineup has some new faces. Edwards on that right-hand side, Alvarez in the ball-winning midfielder role, and Destiny Udogie at left-back, with Ramiro in goal. It was only 8 minutes in when Richarlison opened the scoring, and in the second half when Edwards' ball came back to him, he showed tricky feet and somehow floated one into the top corner out of reach of Alisson. And to cap off a perfect day, in the 94th minute, Heung-min Son scored to make it 3-0. With Harry Kane out injured from this game, Sheldrup took his spot and scored from Edwards' cross. Second half, and Alvarez pushed forward and played in Heung-min Son, who dinked the goalkeeper with a naughty little chip and secured all 3 points. Champions League draw time, and that wonderful thing blesses our ears again, and we get drawn with Bayern Munich. AC Milan then also joins us in the group and already tells me it is the group of death, and Sturm Graz completes our group. And looking at the complete draw, there are some interesting ones like City and PSG and Real Madrid and Liverpool, but I still think ours is the hardest. One last thing on the transfer window as we bring in Mathys Tel from Bayern Munich for short of £30 million. It's a lot of money for an 18-year-old, but he is an astonishing talent, already with great potential, who can fill in when Kane and Richarlison is injured, or play from both wings. He slots in nicely on the squad planner as our third best striking option ahead of Sheldrup and Dane Scarlett. So after our fantastic start, there's some very winnable games in September, ending with the North London derby before a trickier October. The game against Brighton was all about Richarlison though, as he first assisted Heung-min Son beautifully. It wasn't long later that our sexy football allowed Harry Kane through in the box to square it across for Richarlison's first. Second half, and this time it was Marcus Edwards who found him with a great through ball, and what a touch and finish from the Brazilian. Romero got caught dawdling on the ball though, and Muriel punished him by dinking the goalkeeper to make it 3-1. But then Richarlison claimed his hat-trick with an insane half volley right into the top corner. But he wasn't done there, and he got his fourth goal to make it 5-1 in a 5-star performance in injury time. First game of the Champions League this season, and Marcus Edwards cuts the ball back to Kane to score the opener. But the goal of the night must go to Yves Bissouma for this thunder bastard.
Oh my god!
We were dominant in the Watford game, and once again Richarlison played exceptional, getting man of the match. The Carabao Cup was a chance to give Matisse Tell an opportunity to impress, and he did that, scoring 2 goals and a win over Bristol City, including a fantastic volley. It wasn't enough to earn him a spot in the starting lineup though in the North London derby, when Romero's header and Richarlison's outrageous angle strike put us 2-0 up at the Emirates in just 4 minutes. Harry Kane then made it 3, and we couldn't believe it.
Get in!
But Arsenal weren't going to go and lay down for us and let us walk all over. They pulled one back just 10 minutes later. And almost from our kickoff, they went and won the ball back, and Vieira played Jesus through and made it 3-2. And right before the half-hour mark, Danjuma made the game 3-3.
Oh, you're joking.
Luckily for us, Tomiyasu's winning goal was disallowed thanks to him being fractionally offside. And that's where this mental North London derby ended. 3-3. So at this stage, we sit in second place as the only unbeaten team behind Newcastle by a point. Richarlison is the top scorer with 8 ahead of Martial, who's just signed for Leicester. We then faced AC Milan in the Champions League, and unlikely scorer Eric Dyer bagged one from a throw-in. Soon after though, things were level when Tonali found Olivier Giroud, who smashed in the hardest shot I've ever seen.
I contend that I'm gorgeous.
But thankfully though, in the 90th minute, a new hero came along and Matisse Tell scored the winner in the 90th minute. And it was at that point it all started going wrong. Thankfully, after 3 defeats, we bounced back hosting Southampton with Edwards scoring the first. And the 18-year-old monster Matisse Tell once again scoring and impressing me. Maybe we need to start starting him in some games now. Arsenal have now leapfrogged us and found themselves in top spot, and 4th down to 11th can all overtake us at this point. While Watford, they still have 0 points. Chelsea up next, followed by Bayern Munich, and the Blues took the lead through Koulibaly's strike. But once again, Matisse Tell came to the rescue with an excellent run and shot for the first, and constant pressure on the second to win the ball back and win the game with his second goal. Bayern Munich are top of our Champions League group, and they also took the lead from our defensive mistake. Tell though got on the end of Richarlison's header and equalised. Bayern was then awarded a penalty, and Sadio Mane put them back ahead. But after Sessegnon's cross looped up in the air, Matisse Tell jumped higher than the other 2 defenders, and we rescued a point. I absolutely love him already. His value has skyrocketed to over £80 million, and I'm not surprised with an average rating like that for just an 18-year-old. Harry Kane then scored a hat-trick against Wolves in a 4-2 victory in the league, and not only is he scoring, but Matisse Tell is also assisting them when he played Kane through for his final goal.
Hello, nice to meet you. Helps out my goal the other day, didn't you? Congratulations. We've done introduce you to the team.
Kane got another 2 against Norwich, but after being 3-1 up with 4 minutes of the 90 to go, Norwich scored 2 late goals to take 2 points away from us. Thankfully though, we took a trip to Milan and Bissouma hit another screamer. And Richarlison was back amongst the goals, and we win the game 2-0. And after an unbeaten November and the emergence of Matisse Tell into the first team, we really have a very busy December, starting with Manchester United. Kane and Richarlison is leading the scoring with 11, but Matisse Tell is right behind them on 9 in only 9 starts. We slip further behind Arsenal, who are now 8 points ahead of us, and Brentford, who are doing surprisingly well, are right on our backs in 5th. Unfortunately, Erling Haaland seems to have been picking up his form again and has 11 goals. We've already qualified for our Champions League group, but it's going to take some turnaround to top the group ahead of Bayern Munich. And then we put on the performance of the season. The visitors were Manchester United, and when Heung-min Son's cross wasn't dealt with, Richarlison capitalised 1-0. He then played through Tell through on goal, and the 18-year-old chipped the goalkeeper beautifully. Our goalkeeper Ramiro then played an outrageous drop kick through, and Rafael Varane couldn't deal with it or catch Matisse Tel, who took it around their goalkeeper 3-0. Tel was then fantastic down the left-hand side and found Marcus Edwards, who then cut back on the inside on his left and deflected shot made it 4-0. And we capped off this 5-star performance with a fifth and a hat-trick by Matisse Tel. We followed that up with a 5-1 win against Sturm Graz, and it wasn't good enough to overtake Bayern Munich, who also beat Milan. But I'm happy with the draw we got against Atletico Madrid, although they are being managed by Thomas Tuchel now. Matisse Tel then went on a rampage. 3 goals against West Ham in the league, 4 goals against Everton in the cup, and just the 1 goal in a 5-2 away win at Brentford. With the month of December also including a loss away to Leeds and a 1-1 draw at home to Everton in the league. And just like that, we drop out of the top 4, but it's so close. Just a point separating Chelsea in 7th and Man City in 2nd. And our top scorer of the season so far, by the way, is Matisse Tel. And going into January, we have £48 million to spend this transfer window. But what position do you think we need to improve this team? Tel, no surprisingly, picked up the European Golden Boy, and then finished in 2nd place of the French Player of the Year, only behind Kylian Mbappe. He's 18 years old. I thought I'd glance on the transfer list and was astonished to see the caliber of players on there. From Ivan Yilson and Gonzalo Ramos at PSG, we had Brahim Diaz at Real Madrid, Riddle Baku at Chelsea, who's a solid right back, Conor Gallagher, who would be an interesting choice, and then it got better when I seen Christian Pulisic for just £20 million, and Julian Alvarez for a similar price, and even further down, there's Renato Sanchez. But whatever I do, I just gotta make sure I don't lose my best players, such as Matisse Tel. But I doubt anybody would have come in this soon and disrupt him. He's only been here for 6 months and kind of make him want to leave, would they? Or will they? If the next episode is out, I'll chuck it up on the screen, so make sure you click that and go and watch that one right now.